Welcome to this rapid review of XCOM Chimera Squad. I'm your host, KTB. This is a rapid review of 5 minutes or less without ads so as not to waste your time. If it's a little fast, try watching at 0.75 speed. I've played 12 hours of XCOM Chimera Squad. This review contains early tutorial footage and no story spoilers. With that done, let us begin. XCOM Chimera Squad is an interim title released between major XCOM games. It is a blend of turn-based tactical action and a strategic city map. For those familiar with the XCOM story, it takes place after the events of XCOM 2, in a single city on Earth. Chimera Squad itself, as the name suggests, is a blend of human and alien operatives, which turns out to be quite fun. Chimera Squad is very much an XCOM lite game. It is smaller, narrower, with fewer options, more limited scope, and a story and character-driven gameplay with less customization and scale than tentpole XCOM titles. It also trials some new combat methods and leaner, more narrative story. Gameplay has been altered from the traditional XCOM base building, research, recruit, and run missions type into a tighter, more limited scenario that still offers some variety. Team management and training takes place in your HQ, where you buy supplies, send agents on non-playable special ops missions for rewards, research a limited number of upgrades, and expand your control over City 31 by earning resources to spend on certain locations. First up, graphics. Chimera Squad largely uses a cartoon comic strip style for its cutscenes. This is stylized and allows for more content production over more expensive, longer CGI. But once you adjust to the art style, it does work quite well. What works less well are the characters and dialogue, but more on that in a moment. The in-game visuals are clean and easy on the eye. The excellent style of XCOM remains here, and character animations are largely smooth, with some reused assets from XCOM 2. The palette is a dark industrial feel, interspersed with neons. The lack of customization of character visuals over other XCOM titles is apparent, with the only ability to tint your characters. The lack of character customization is forgivable, if a little disappointing. The interface remains smooth and clear. Special abilities and buttons in the tactical sections are easy to understand and make sense. The story, as told in comic cutscenes and dialogue boxes, is simple and well presented. Again, go in with a less than AAA expectation and you'll be pleasantly surprised. There's variety here, with different characters on different missions, offering different dialogue, and with 3 main quest lines to go down, replayability is present. The enemy factions are gangs that you choose to focus on, one of 3, and then pursue through a narrative. Each has a unique look and feel and unit roster, and the visuals do well to match this. Alongside the UI and gameplay issues, there are some minor animation glitches and technical problems that are rare but persistent throughout XCOM games. Next up, sound. The ambient music, particularly in menus in the city map, is surprisingly immersive. Indeed, it makes you wish for a deeper experience with Chimera Squad, so the soundtrack, at least in menus and ambience, is immersive and apt. Sound effects in battle are largely what you'd expect. Perhaps the most fun audio experience is the slow motion the sound that comes with the breach phase of the game, and the audio here is great. It feels very Max Payne, slow motion, high bass, gunshots and screams, etc. All good fun. The rest of the in-game audio, from menu selections to gunfire, is solid, if unremarkable. Where the audio is less good, in content, not quality, is the character speech and voiceover. This is due to writing and is a gameplay criticism. Chimera Squad is character-based and story-driven. Now we are given characters in a squad that they are voiced and acted much more fully, which means you're stuck with them as they are. For many people, that's fine. For me, it was an issue. If taking the default team through the tutorial and onward, your squad is led by Godmother, a tough-talking, no-nonsense independent woman who runs a squad supported by a tough-talking, sassy, independent woman like Terminal. Godmother reports to the XCOM chief, who is a tough-talking, no-nonsense woman who, in turn, helps Chimera Squad work with the local city police, led by a tough-talking, no-nonsense, independent female police chief who, you get the picture. The issue isn't the presence of so many women in every position of leadership, it's the lack of variety in their characters. They're all so tough, independent and sassy that it feels like a catty sorority house rather than a military at times. The male characters have much more variety. Alas, this lack of character variety makes much of the dialogue standard and boring, impinging what is otherwise an interesting mini-narrative. You may feel differently. In wider gameplay terms, Chimera Squad makes a number of experimental moves with the franchise, most of which work well and may well see some form of repeat in the next full XCOM title. First off, the breach and encounter system is very different form from the standard missions. Now you position your agents at breach points in a building before storming in. Each point has various advantages and disadvantages, and some can only be used if the agent is carrying particular equipment, like blast charges or a keycard, etc. The order you send your agents in and the various bonuses, etc. is an extra layer of SWAT-like strategy. Tactics are welcome here and adds something to the tactical battles. Once the agents breach the location, they begin an encounter. Imagine this as a single room or location. Each mission might have multiple encounters separated by breach phases. At breach, your team gets to fire first and use all their abilities, etc. before being attacked by those enemies that are left standing after your entrance. Unlike XCOM, the game then organizes combat into priorities, not simply a human and alien turn. So you'll need to think carefully about which aliens you attack when and use other abilities to mess with your turn order, etc. Again, not faithful to XCOM, but interesting and comes with its own challenges. You get less of the teamwork moments where you set a whole series of characters up to execute a beautiful sequence of kills, but you get more of the tense, damn, I've got to get to that target guy next moments, which are driven by necessity. Outside of this, the strategic game is driven by a city divided into sectors. Each of these has a level of anarchy which affects the overall level of city anarchy. If the city falls into riots and ruin, then it's game over. Each sector's anarchy is managed turn by turn by performing missions or situations, non-playable side quests with outcomes, and appointing oversight teams to that region, balancing this against the need to research a limited number of upgrades for the team or buy items from the supply store, etc. Spec Ops feels a bit thin, as does the training section to rank up your agents. There are limited options here. Outside of the city map, all the base options feel limited, including character progression, with very few choices to upskill your agents, and only occasionally a choice of ability to pick when they rank up. Overall, Chimera Squad is a fun, experimental, and enjoyable mini addition to the XCOM franchise. Some of the mechanics, like breaches and encounters, would be fun to see in future XCOM titles. Many of the characters and the lack of customization, let's hope that gets left behind. It's recommended you don't pay more than £15 or the dollar equivalent. What are your thoughts? Please like, comment, and subscribe.